Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are going to be looking at a bunch of the returning legends, actually just about all of them, just about all of the returning legends, essentially all of the really good ones, the ones that I think are really good and are going to see play. I'm going to start it off with the non-restricted legendaries, the ones we'll be able to use right off the bat, and then at the end of the video, or, a good while into the video, we'll talk about the restricted. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So right off the bat, we have Gen 1 birds. Now I think Articuno and Moltres are both like pretty mediocre. I mean, obviously they'll probably get a little bit better with, Dynamax, but for now we're talking about Zapdos. Zapdos is really, really powerful. Now, of course, it might not get all these moves because everything is just, data mines and stuff. Some of these are guaranteed to come back. But most of it, a lot of it is still going to be Dynamax regardless. So, keep that in mind that some of these may not actually end up being legal, and also, or rather than legal, may not come back. And also, we might not get move tutors, so not every move will be allowed. So yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah, for the time being, Zapdos is very, very good. It's seen a lot of play in a lot of VGCs in the past. It's very strong. It has access to Tailwind, Roost, which is really good. A lot of special attacks, and pretty decent coverage. Actually, not really that good of coverage, but with like Tailwind and Roost, you only want to use your stab moves anyway, really. And just like some good coverage. So we have, Thunderbolt and like Heat Wave and stuff like that. So Zapdos is pretty good. A lot of the time it'll invest in some bulk and speed and be like a citrus berry, like bulky boy that just sits there and tailwinds, roosts, gets some damage with Thunderbolt and Heat Wave, and is a pretty good Pokemon. It might improve with Dynamax becoming, a more like good Pokemon. Maybe it gets like Hurricane or something, and can be really good. Maybe Air Slash, something like that, and be like a really good Dynamax Pokemon that way as well. Next we have Entei. Actually all three of the dogs, all of them are pretty good. So first off, we have Entei. It has Sacred Fire, which is good. It has the ability Inner Focus, which is also very good. Allowing it to not be intimidated, and then using moves like Sacred Fire, which is really insane. Like Sacred Fire is really good. Giving you a 50% chance to burn the target. Essentially using this on any kind of physical Pokemon is just insane. Your opponent can't really switch physical Pokemon into the Entei attack or like the impending Sacred Fire because they don't want to get burned, and then just have a useless brick on the field, which would suck. Entei's usually, investing into pretty bulky or offensive with speed investment as well. It also has pretty good coverage with like Snarl and Stone Edge. Snarl being able to just like allow it to be better. We don't have like too many great fire type Pokemon usually. I mean, obviously when we get our restricted Pokemon, we have Groudon, but until then, Entei could be pretty good. Suicune gets things like Tailwind and Icy Wind for some good speed control, could be good. Ice Beam is pretty good, especially with Landorus coming in. It's a pretty good Pokemon in general. It takes more of a supportive role, but that's fine because Suicune does a pretty good job of that. And once again, it might not get Tailwind. You'll see like a pretty common trend. A lot of Pokemon get Tailwind, and that's pretty good, but we might not always get Tailwind. We'll see. Next, we have Raikou. Raikou is usually going to be like a fast offensive Pokemon with a special attacking. Raikou did lose Hidden Power Ice, which is really unfortunate. Take down those ground type Pokemon, especially things like Lando T coming in. But Raikou is still a good Pokemon. I think Choice Specs or Life Orb could still be pretty good as well. So yeah, I think Raichu is a pretty cool Pokemon. Probably the worst of the three dogs, but still, a good Pokemon in general. It also gets things like Snarl and stuff like that, and Volt Switch to be able to switch out. And now with Dynamax, it can set its own terrain, which could be a really cool thing for that as well. Next we have Ladios. I only have Latias here instead of Latias and Latios. They're pretty similar, but Latios usually takes more of an offensive role, when Latias is usually more of like a supportive Pokemon. Using moves like Tailwind or Icy Wind or even Heal Pulse, stuff like that could be really good. It has Ice Beam, pretty good coverage, not a huge amount of damage, but that's fine because it usually takes more of that supportive role. It'll usually invest into like some bulk and speed and have a berry and just be there for a little while, being able to set up Tailwind and take a rather supportive role with speed control and heal pulse and stuff like that. So Latias is pretty cool. Latios is going to be a little bit more like speed damaging focused. Losing our megas for these Pokemon is a little unfortunate, but I still think they could see some good play. Next we have Heatran. Heatran's definitely a really good Pokemon in the format. Not being restricted, it's going to be a really strongly used Pokemon at the beginning of the format. I think it's going to be really strong, having pretty solid stats across the board, a pretty good defensive typing with Fire Steel. Obviously, you have things like Earth or like Ground typing, but you do have Shuka Berry, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's pretty good. In general is pretty much what I'm saying. You have good coverage with like Heat Wave, Earth Power, Steel Move, Flash Cannon. Maybe we get like no, I guess that's it. Yeah, it's pretty good though. Substitute, a lot of Pokemon are gonna like double target into the other Pokemon since they can't really deal with Heatran, and you get Substitute. Though your opponent will have to like protect in its face, and then you get to use those turns for Substitute. I don't know how used Substitute will be, but it's viable for Heatran. I think this Pokemon will be really strong though. It's a very strong special attacking threat. It's very good in general. Next we have Cresselia. This is one of the better Pokemon coming back. Heatran's really strong. Cresselia is really strong. Zapdos really strong. Lando T is really strong. Cresselia is really good because it's super, super bulky. Like all of its stats are just really, really good. It has like the bulk of like P2 with Eviolite, but without using Eviolite. Like it's crazy. Using Trick Room, Icy Wind, being more of a supportive Pokemon. Ally Switch, Psyshock, doing some damage, but being more of a supportive role. Just a bulky Pokemon setting Trick Room is really, really good. Being able to use like Berry and Investment to just stay alive for a while. Cresselia is a really strong Pokemon. It's been really good in many, many formats, especially without restricted Pokemon. It's going to be, definitely a dominant force. Next, we have Tornadus. This Pokemon is really good, actually, in my opinion. So, we have Prankster Tailwind, of course, which is really good. Investing into fast, like speed, special attack. It has things like Taunt. It's essentially like a very similar Pokemon to Whimsicott, but better because, it has better stats. It does more damage. It also has access to Defiant, I believe. That's the other ability. It's pretty weird. Defiant. It's a pretty weird ability to have on that Pokemon. But yeah, you could use it like physical with Defiant, and that could be really cool as well. So, Tornadus is definitely a really good Pokemon coming into this meta. Next, we have Lando T. Not a lot of people really need this explained to them why this Pokemon is so good. Its attack is just insane. It has Intimidate, which is crazy. All of its stats across the board is really good. It's fast. It's offensive. It has very good bulk. You'll usually like invest into bulk and speed. Making it a really good Pokemon. Intimidate just makes it so hard to deal with. Intimidate plus Assault Vest just makes this Pokemon really, really hard to deal with. Just crazy bulk right off the bat. And then now with Dynamax, like this thing max Airstreaming in your face, crazy. Max Earthquake, crazy. Like this Pokemon is just going to be really, really powerful. And a fast Rock Slide is crazy. This Pokemon could also be used like Choice Scarf and not Max. But, it's really good. These are the two Pokemon that I expect to be the best right off the bat. Landorus T, there's not really any reason to explain more why that guy is so good. It's just so powerful. And then we also have Tapu Koko, which is really, really good. A fast Pokemon that can set its own terrain, which is really, really good. All of the Tapus are going to be really good, but Tapu Koko is usually going to be the best. In the past, it's been the best, and now I think it's going to be the best as well. Life Orb, Choice Specs make it do a lot of damage. Now with Dynamax, it can reset its terrain, which is one of its biggest weaknesses. If it's in a bad position, it has Volt Switch to just switch back out. It's very good. And if we get Skydrop, having Max Airstream on this Pokemon, that's like crazy. So this Pokemon is really, really strong. Next, we have Tapu Lele. This is another really good Pokemon. It is a hyper offense Pokemon. Like its defense isn't that good. Like its physical defense is pretty low. Special D is okay, and its HP is pretty low as well. So it's a Pokemon that's typically just going to be doing a lot of damage, and that's really all it does. But that's fine, especially since we have Expanding Force. So, it's going to be a very terrain-heavy format once again. But, Tapu Lele with Choice Scarf, Expanding Force is going to be very, very strong. It has not bad coverage, but it's usually just going to use Dual Stab, Protect, and Move of Choice. And that could be Taunt or something. It's pretty good. But yeah, I think it's mostly just going to be an Expanding Force button, which is fine. Next, we have Tapu Bulu. Usually considered the worst of the Tapus, and for good reason. All the other three are, like, really good. Finny's really, really strong. We'll talk about that next. Bulu is still really good, though. Definitely a high-tier Pokemon. Setting its own Surge, Grassy Surge is really good, being able to do a lot of damage, and now it has access to the new... Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, Tapu Koko also gets Rising Voltage, which is a 140 base power max move, which is insane. So yeah, Dynamax Tapu Koko is going to be a big threat. Anyway, Tapu Bulu also gets Grassy Glide, which is something I didn't put down there. That's going to be over Woodhammer most likely. Doing a lot of damage. Assault Vest with, it'll take essentially the role that Rillaboom had, but with much better stats. So it'll be a really, really powerful Pokemon, and using like Assault Vest for attacks could be really strong. Maxing this Pokemon with like things like Close Combat, turning into Max Knuckle, Max Quake. Could be a really, really big threat. And Grassy Glide, giving it a fast move, because its speed is like okay. Giving it a fast move is really good. Next we have Tapu Fini. This is a more supportive Pokemon of the Tapus. Like all the other Tapus are kind of just like punch you really hard. Meanwhile, Tapu Fini's kind of sitting here like, yeah, we're okay. We're just gonna chill here, calm mind up. You can't status the Pokemon, which is really good. In a Dynamax format, it doesn't really get as much as the other Pokemon do, because the other Pokemon become like insane max Pokemon. But Tapu Fini actually gives you a lot of support for your Dynamax Pokemon. Things like, like the Misty Surge, making it so your Dynamax Pokemon can't be slept, which is really good. And then also just being able to like, and can't get like Thunder Wave, like Prankster T-Wave is no longer a thing to your Pokemon. A Moongus, this big threat that's going to be very powerful still in Series 7. Tapu Fini still just deals with that really well. Calm Mind makes it really strong and really bulky, so you can just fire off really strong Muddy Waters and Moonblasts, and it still has really good moves like Haze that are just really strong, especially in a Dynamax format with a bunch of like weakness policy stuff going on. So yeah, I think Tapu Fini will be a really strong pick as well. One of the better Tapus. Next we have the Ultra Beasts. These Pokemon are pretty threatening. So first off, we have Kartana. Kartana is a really strong Pokemon in this format, mostly due to, I think Dynamax Kartana could be pretty crazy. Its attack stat is insane. Kartana has been one of the more used Pokemon, and I think the most used Ultra Beast going into every past format where it was allowed, and now we have this insane Kartana. It's just like a really, really powerful Pokemon. It has access to Tailwind, to Detect, really strong dual stab moves. It has Sacred Sword, like pretty good coverage. You can use it like Focus Sash, or you could even go with like a boosting item like Life Orb, or even maybe like Choice Band or something. But of course, Tailwind is a really strong thing that it gets. So, you might not want to go for something like Assault Vest or Choice Band or something. But it's a really strong Pokemon, and, it's definitely a Pokemon that I'm pretty excited to use. For good reason. They're really strong. And they're going to be really strong before the restricted format. Like, they're going to be really good. Next, we have Celesteela. This is usually going to be like a bulky Pokemon, a bulky support Pokemon that just sits there and uses Substitute and Leech Seed. But now with the introduction of the format of Dynamax. Now in a Dynamax format, I think this Pokemon will take more of an offensive role, being able to use like Max Airstream and Max Steel Spike to, supplement your Pokemon, as well as Celesteela. Across the board, it just has really solid stats, except for its speed, which is fine because it's very bulky. It'll usually be, investing into bulk and then using things like Heavy Slam to deal damage, but just sit there with Leech Seed and Substitute for a while as well. I thought this Pokemon was really good back when I used it in VGC 2017, but now I think it'll be even better. Like I said, taking an offensive role, like offensive Celesteela could be really interesting. So yeah, it's cool. Nihilego, this Pokemon is really good. It has good coverage. It usually uses like Trick Room, which is cool. It can use like Focus Sash or like even AV or something. It has pretty good bulk, like crazy good special defense, as well as like really good HP. But its physical defense is a little lackluster. But that's fine. Usually can get like paired up with some Intimidates and stuff, allowing it to be there for a little while longer. Good coverage with Power Gem, Sludge Bomb kind of stuff, and it could be a really good max Pokemon as well. I think most of the the non-restricted legendaries are going to be like more so your max Pokemon that you'll typically use. Next we have Buzzwole. Buzzwole is a pretty good Pokemon. It has really good coverage. It usually becomes like an AV offensive Pokemon. All of these Pokemon have Beast Boost, which is a really good ability. And like having that plus Dynamax is like really powerful. So yeah, I think Buzzwole will be pretty good. Like an AV or even like a Life Orb max Pokemon with really good spread. It's pretty good. Of course your 4x weakness to flying is pretty weak. Not very good, especially with a lot of things using like Max Airstream as we move on. But I still think it's a really solid Pokemon, and definitely something I would, go for moving into this format. Usually, like an offensive, bulky Pokemon, it's pretty good. Next we have Pheromosa. So Pheromosa is like a very hyper offense Pokemon. It's very, very frail, but it has very good offensive stats. insanely fast with speed. You could use like Focus Sash or like Life Orb. The Pokemon could be a really strong Dynamax Pokemon, but it won't stick around for really long, so maybe not a great Dynamax Pokemon. It could still be good, though. I definitely think, you know, Pheromosa could be pretty good in the game. Next, we have Xurkitree. This is our last of the non-restricted Pokemon. All the other Pokemon are restricted that we're going to be talking about. Also, notable mentions. I'll talk about notable mentions here in a moment. But yeah, Xurkitree is a really cool Pokemon. Tail Glow is a really strong move. You know, like buffing it pretty well with Beast Boost as well. I think Xurkitree could be pretty good, especially with Dynamax. I think Dynamax Xurkitree could be pretty cool. So, yeah. For the notable Pokemon, you know, I don't think the Reggies are that good. Regigigas could be pretty cool though, especially with neutralizing gas wheezing. Could be pretty cool. Before you would have to like skill swap, which was weird. But still like pretty solid, especially with the wheezing, like I was saying. And then we also have Registeel is pretty good. You know, what else did I miss? I don't know if I missed anything. If I missed anything, comment it. But yeah, now we're gonna go into the restricted parts, and I'm skipping most of like some of the restricted Pokemon that just aren't that good. You know, things like Lugia, but like yeah. So Ho-Oh is pretty good. You know, having Sacred Fire is pretty solid. Brave Bird, it can be a really good Dynamax Pokemon. I still think there are better restricted Pokemon, things like, you know, Xerneas, Groudon, Kyogre, but you know, Ho-Oh is very solid, and could definitely be a good Pokemon. There where it says Tail Whip is actually supposed to be Tailwind. Whoops. It's definitely going to be a Tailwind. But, you know, Regenerator is pretty reliable. Like a Pinchberry plus Regenerator is pretty reliable. So you can, you know, take a really big hit. It's pretty solidly bulky. You'll take a big hit and then be able to switch out, activate your Regenerator, and then the Berry can also activate. So it can be a pretty good Pokemon. Sacred Fire is a really strong move as well. So it's pretty good. Kyogre is crazy, especially if we get Blue Orb. If we don't, it's still going to be really powerful, definitely. But yeah, if we have the primals, like, it's going to be a bit of a yikes format once again, you know, definitely going to be pretty reminiscent of 2019 Ultra Series. It's going to be very strong, you know, you're going to have things like Zerndon going around everywhere. You know, Kyogre, Primal Kyogre is going to be really strong. These Pokemon are really great. Kyogre and Groudon are both really great. They're some of the best restricted Pokemon you can use. Those and like Xerneas are just like the cream of the crop of the restricted Pokemon. But you know, they're very strong. They have their own moves of like Water Spout as well as like or like Origin Pulse and Precip Blades, which are just insanely strong. You know, Groudon being able to take a very offensive role with Red Orb, giving it that fire as well. Like, it's an insanely powerful Pokemon. Swords Dance, you have good coverage with both Pokemon. You know, they set their respective weathers, and if we have the Alpha or the Primal, then they're going to have their insane weathers, which is going to be really, really interesting, especially without Mega Rayquaza. You know, they're definitely going to, like, kind of figurehead the format, I would think, like, spearhead the format and be some of the most used Pokemon by far. So, yeah, they're very strong. Like, they both do so much damage with, you know, their moves. And personally, like, I think these Pokemon are just going to be insane in the format. I don't think that's, like, I said personally there, but I don't think that's, like, a me thing. That's just the game. These Pokemon are insane. Next we have Rayquaza. Without Mega, this Pokemon's not going to be nearly as good. I still think it could be solid, you know, Swords Dance, especially if it can max. Honestly, I really hope that restricted Pokemon cannot max. And as we've seen with Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus, they can't max. So I think restricted Pokemon will probably not be able to max, and I really hope that's the way, because if you can just max, like, Primal Kyogre, like, okay. Good luck with the game. It's going to be insane. It's just going to be max those Pokemon, and then all your other Pokemon kind of suck in comparison. So we'll see how that goes. I really hope you can't max them, but maybe you will be. And maybe it'll be like an unbelievably strong format. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, for now, you know, Rayquaza is not as powerful. Airlock is still really good. You know, like Swords Dance, Extreme Speed, Dragon Ascent is really strong. But, you know, it's like pretty frail, and but it has really good damage. So, like, Rayquaza is definitely a good Pokemon still, but not as insane as like some of the Pokemon. Dialga's really good. Dialga and Palkia are both really strong, actually. You know, having access to Trick Room is pretty good. Their respective moves are really strong. Like, Special Rend is crazy. You know, Steel Dragon typing is really good. Like, we'll talk about Dialga first. So, Steel Dragon is actually a really good typing, like, defensively. And running Assault Vest and, you know, some bulk spread investment could be really good. A lot of the time it'll have like you know, HP and special attack investment. It'll do a lot of damage with good coverage, earth power and stuff like that. You also have Trick Room, which is really good. So Dialga's a good Pokemon, definitely. And then Palkia as well. Pretty similar, you know, just really good coverage, really strong special attack, as well as, you know, Trick Room and Protect. So you can use, like, even a Assault Vest or something on this Pokemon as well. But, you know, its special defense is a little bit better. If only we had, like, a regular vest that gave you physical defense. Like, that would be cool. But yeah, I think Palkia is really strong as well. So, like, Dialga and Palkia are definitely really, like, high-tier Pokemon as well. Xerneas. Yeah, this Pokemon is an absurd Pokemon. If you didn't play for Xerneas, you know, it's very, very strong. Xerneas is an insane Pokemon. It has the move Geomancy, which just gives you so much power. Like, this thing is absurd. And then usually you would take an extra turn because of Geomancy, but because of the item Power Herb, you don't have to. So you go Geomancy this turn, and then next turn you kill everything. Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, it's insane. You just do so much damage, it's crazy. You know, like, you don't even really care about coverage. You just kill everything. Xerneas is an absurd Pokemon, so yeah, it's definitely, like, it's probably the best Pokemon. One of the best Pokemon. Anyway, next we have Yveltal. Yveltal is a really strong Pokemon as well. Not nearly as good as Xerneas, like probably like an entire tier under. But like Xerneas is almost in a tier of its own. Like, it's just so good. But Yveltal is very strong as well. Having access to Tailwind, it's pretty good. It has pretty good stats across the board as well. Dark Aura is a really good ability, giving you 1.3 times damage. So you're essentially having a Life Orb for all dark moves. And it doesn't only affect itself, it also affects its ally. So, you know, Dark Aura is a pretty cool ability. But yeah, Yveltal is a pretty solid Pokemon as well. Tailwind, good damage with Foul Play, Sucker Punch. You even have stronger Snarls if you want to. It can be a mixed attacker or just like a physical attacker with special, or even like a special attacker with Snarl and like Foul Play. It can be a pretty good Pokemon. So yeah, I think both these Pokemon are really solid. Overall, you know, I definitely think like Xerneas, Groudon, Kyogre, that's not really a hot take. They're just like the most powerful Pokemon. And then for you know, like non-restricted Pokemon, Kartana is really insane. The Tapus are really good. Tapu Koko in specifically is really strong. Landorus T, you know, Tornadus is really good. Heatran, Cresselia, you know, the dogs, Zapdos, they're all really good. So overall, you know, I think the format's gonna shift like really, really heavily here at the end of the month. You know, we're not going to have our restricted Pokemon just yet, but without restricted Pokemon, they're still going to be really strong, especially since our non-restricted legendaries can most likely Dynamax. I still say most likely, but I think it's confirmed now that they can, mostly due to like the raid den, but I think restricted Pokemon might not be able to, but I still think they might be able to because in raid dens they can Dynamax, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it all goes. Definitely, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Talk down in the comments. Say, you know, what you expect to be played a lot. You know, Landorus and Lando T and Tapu Koko. A bunch of those comments are impending, but it's okay. You know, definitely talk about what you think in the meta is going to be good, what is going to be bad, what you're like happy to play, what you're like afraid of. Stuff like that. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, support the Patreon, and watch me live on Twitch. All of those links will be in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week, and goodbye.